Alrighty, guys. I think we're good to start. I had to do a little bit of fiddling. I didn't like the green or blue filter, so I switched it to the red so it wasn't so harsh. I might keep the red. I kind of like it. But this is, continuing with the video series of games I got, and I have got some good feedback. Number one, timestamps. You guys want timestamps, which I agree with. I've been wanting to do timestamps, but I've been thinking about it. All of my process so far has been focused on creating a habit of making videos. And the faster I'm able to upload videos and the less amount of work I have to do in terms of editing up front in just this beginning phase means the more likely I am to make videos. So I was like, I want to do timestamps, but I want to find the fastest way for me to create timestamps in post. So in my head, I was like, what if I have like a visual signifier? So here's where I'm going to involve you guys. Whatever thoughts you have as ideas for physical gestures that I could make for timestamp signaling, let me know. Because currently, all I've got in my head is there's a fantastic, like, congratulatory or, like, very happy, celebratory GIF with spelling bee kids where they're, like, dabbing up like crazy, where essentially, like, these spelling bee kids are, like, leaving after doing a word correct, and they're like, tuh, 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 tuh. So I think currently on this first video, I think the spelling bee dab is going to be my timestamp signifier. And to me, this creates a little bit of like communication and feedback with you guys. You guys can give me suggestions of less visually offensive ways for me to signal the timestamps to myself while I'm going in through and editing, because that's going to make it way easier for me to do timestamps. And also, it'd just be more fun to get suggestions. So timestamps is something that you guys want. It's something that I want. So I'm going to give myself some visual cues. So when I start to go through the sections of the review or of the comment, I'm going to do some mad dabbing. Also, I need to, on my notes, I need to add ratings, because one of you guys talked about ratings, or a couple people talked about ratings, which I agree with, which we'll go over in just a moment. So let's see. Timestamps. Spelling bee kid dabs. That's what we're going to do now. Also, someone said I don't know what to do with my hands, which kind of makes me think of like that Ricky Bobby scene where it's like, I don't know what to do with my hands. So I'll think about that as well. I'll focus on what I'm doing with my hands. I am a little bit of an expressive talker with my hands, so maybe that is the problem. But I'll think about what I'm doing with my hands as well. And then somebody asked to show the box more often in the video, so I'm going to try to be a little bit better about presenting that, so you guys can see the box that I'm talking about, which makes sense since you want to know about the game that I'm discussing. So I'm going to show you that box. And then other people asked for ratings, so I'm going to try to give ratings to the game. I'm not going to think about them ahead of time. I'm going to give kind of spur of the moment ratings. I'm probably going to do it out of 10, and even additionally at 10 on a decibel system, like 7.5s or 6.5s, to where I can at least do halves, because I think there's some nuance there that I want that just whole numbers doesn't give me. And out of 5s doesn't really work for me, because like if I say a game's a 3 out of 5, to me, why not just say that it's a 6 out of 10? Just the 10-point scale makes more sense to me. It's a little bit more in line with BGG, which I don't really care about, but it just makes more sense to me. So I'm going to try to do ratings as well. But yeah, so tonight's episode is sponsored by Kids Asleep and alcohol. Specifically, one of my Christmas gifts was this infuser. It's called a Crucial Porthole, which they didn't sponsor this. I'm just giving you the name in case you're interested. But it's essentially like a very thin glass-walled flask that carries, it holds about, anywhere between 12 to 15 ounces, I guess, depending on how much stuff you put in it. But it infuses things in like 30 minutes or just like, an hour if you want to wait longer. But it can do it in as little as 30 minutes. And so this is just straight tequila and Grand Marnier. But it tastes so good because I had cut up strawberries, cut up oranges, and full cinnamon sticks in there. And it's delicious. It's just straight liquor, so, be mindful of that. But those are the two sponsors for tonight's episode. Is my kids are asleep, so I can film slightly less noise, even though there's my kids' fan in the background. And then also alcohol. Those are the two sponsors. Thought you guys would want to know, so you know that I do have some bias in this video. So I thought you would want to know about sponsors. I'm trying to pick which game to do first because I'm going to film 2 videos. So I think I'll just go with this one because I played it tonight with my brother and with my son. So this is King of Tokyo Dark Edition. So you guys have asked to see the box more, so I thought maybe you want to see more of the box and less of my face. So it's King of Tokyo Dark Edition. This is not anything really mechanically different. There is a small power track board that I'll talk about in a second. But yeah, this is the visual aesthetic of, kind of like dark moody blacks and really vibrant neon colors. It's a limited edition of the game, and I didn't really feel like I wanted King of Tokyo in my collection, but when this came out, it matched kind of, the visual look that I like in games sometimes, and also the added little mechanic that it did have made it to where I was like, you know what, if I'm going to own a copy, this is the copy I want to own. And it's a very easy game to introduce to people who are maybe learning board games, for the first time in the hobby. It's pretty accessible, and so I was happy to have it in my collection. And yeah, so this is the game I'm going to talk about today. The designer is Richard Garfield, who needs no introduction. For many people, Magic the Gathering, King of Tokyo, plenty of games, including The Hunger that just came out with Renegade Game Studios. So he's eminent designer, and this is one of his most classic well-known designs. So it's got different box art, it's got different visuals. Hopefully this helps to the people who want to see the box. But it's got different visuals. I like it a lot. I'm happy with it. Maybe need to save that for later, but one of the few things that I dislike is actually the size of the dice. They are absurdly large, so almost unwieldy to people with smaller hands. And as a male, I feel like I sometimes have larger hands than most, like, women or kids, obviously. But just in general, I have rather small hands. So, and my wife has even smaller hands than me. So, and my kids have even smaller hands than me. So that's the one thing that I don't like. But we'll get to that kind of stuff later. So, I'm already at the what is it section. So real quick. But that's a delayed one. I'll have to do a new one for each other section. And so, who is the artist for this? I don't know, because it's different from the original. It's different. Oh, the artist is Paul Maffeon, and designer Richard Garfield. Who does it is Yellow. And let's see, synopsis. What would you guys want to know about this game? So. King of Tokyo is a dice rolling, kind of in the same form as Yahtzee, like dice thrown, where you have successive rolls in order to get the kind of combination that you want. It's not as involved as dice thrown, but it's a little bit more complex, obviously, than Yahtzee. You are trying to either gain energy, which you can use to buy power cards and make yourself more augmented than just regular, gameplay. You roll hearts in order to heal. You roll smashes in order to deal damage to other monsters that are not in Tokyo if you're in Tokyo, or monsters that are in Tokyo if you're not in Tokyo. Plays 2 to 6 players. It's a very easy game to learn. The one element or mechanic that is additional to the Dark Edition, and I think was in some form presented in other expansions, is the power track, where there are ways. The 6-sided dice has an energy bolt, a heart, and a smash, but then it has a 1, 2, and 3. And if you roll 3 1s or 3 2s or 3 3s, you get that number of points. Any extras add 1 point on per dice. But 1s and 2s are naturally, out of all 6 of the options on the dice, the 1s and the 2s are the least valuable to players, and so they're less incentivized to roll for them. In this version, there is a power track. So if you do choose to roll 1s or 2s, you either move up 2 or 1 spaces respectively on this power track, and on space 3, space 6, and space 10 you get traits that are like permanent upgrades beyond the power cards that augment and inform what your monster is able to do, or the abilities that they're able to, you know, cash in on each turn. So I liked that. I thought it was enough of a tweak on the core gameplay that plus the aesthetic redesign on the Dark Edition made me interested in getting it. So the reason why I picked that to talk about is just simply because I played it with my son and my brother tonight, and it's on my mind. And I have to show you all the games in my collection, so I might as well do ones that I am actively talking about. Let's see, I think I've already talked about it a little bit, but I'll refresh it real quick about why I have it. So, spelling bee dab, and now I know that I need to put a timestamp there, why I have it. I have it because I asked for it for review, which I actually fortunately got. This was one that I didn't think I would get. It was a little bit harder. ELO was not someone that I had a relationship when I did reach out to them, so it was a little bit of a cold request. But I wanted to talk about it. It was visually attractive to me, and it's a game that I had played before, and I enjoyed, and I wanted to kind of see what I thought of this new reskin of it. So that's why I have it. What I like about it, Spelling Kid Dab, for you guys, for the fans. What I like about it, specifically about this edition, I love the visuals of it. So just kind of like that darker, moody blacks with, you know, kind of like the embossed, especially on the outer box, like that embossed, UV spot design that gives it some nice yellows. I love the visual redesign of the monsters, and I'll try to, you know, show you guys this. I don't do top cam or, you know, zoom in or B-roll or anything, but just the visual style of this edition made me much more interested, and I do like that about it. You know, and I like the gameplay. It's not a game that I would have searched for, but when I knew that they were coming out with another one, I was like, you know, this would be the time and the version that I would want if I did get a version, and so I got it. Even though I don't really have this section in my review at all, I am going to talk about what I don't like, specifically because look at these dice. Like, maybe you can't, to scale or like visual depth, realize how chunky these are. But this is just six-sided dice. These are 6d6. And it literally takes up my whole hand. Like, that's insane. And also, the larger something is, the more like area you need for them to roll comfortably. Because otherwise, they're just going to plop onto a side. So it's almost like it makes it inconvenient for your hand, and then it also makes it inconvenient. Like when you do a dice tray, you have to have a larger dice tray, like those gorgeous ones from Steeped Games, that go along with their chai games. I have a couple of those, and they're very small. You just can't roll these in that because they're not going to go anywhere. I have a larger Geek On roller tray that very much is needed to go all the way across it for these to really actually roll. A big chunky dice tower could probably help you roll these well, but other than that, they're just like almost too big. And for a component that is associated with the main mechanic of the game, rolling, something you're doing every single turn, it was just like a strange design choice, I thought. It doesn't make me dislike the game. It just makes me go, that was a missed opportunity. So I like a lot of things about it. I like the accessibility. I like the visual look of it. I like the extra power track mechanic. But I kind of dislike the fact that they chose to go with absurdly large dice. When did I get it? I got it. When did I get this one? 2 years ago or so. About 2 to 2.5 years ago is when I really started doing a lot of reviewing. And this was probably within 3 to 6 months of me starting. It's been more than a year and a half because I've had it since I came back to Arkansas. So this would have been when I was in Fort Worth. So yeah, I've had it for a while. Will it leave? I don't know. It's not a game that I'm personally attached to. I think it is my favorite version of the game to be there. And I think it is very nice. The fact that I can play this with my son right now, and by the time he would get tired of it, the fact that I could probably play it with my daughter, the fact that I can play it with my kids makes it valuable to me. The fact that it's accessible to gamers who maybe aren't as well versed in more heavy strategic options that I have in my collection. So there are a lot of pros as to why I have it. The con would be that it's not a game I would personally choose to play almost ever. So it does have the potential to leave, but right now the function that it provides for the type of people that I sometimes play with, it stays. Would you like it? If you like, it depends. It depends who you are, the type of gamer you are. If you are like me, I'm the person who introduces games to my friends. I'm the person who has the board games. And so they come over to my house, and I'm the one who teaches them. So I'm the one who has to, read through the rules and introduce stuff. And I have to be mindful of the people that come to my house and that play games with me. And because of that, I need a wider variety than I would typically play with. But if you are someone who has a dedicated group and they have similar tastes to you, and this is not in your wheelhouse of things that you care for, you would not need this ever. But if you are someone like me who needs a stable section or fraction of their collection to be accessible for players that are not yourself, or maybe who have varied tastes or different tastes than you, then certainly this would be something that you could enjoy. Also, I just like dice rolling games. I know that there's an element of luck to them, but I love Dice Throne. I love that style of, you roll and then you get to choose which path you're going down based off of successive rolls. You get to a little bit try to choose the narrative of your turn based off of the good fortune or bad fortune of what you roll. I like a little bit more choices. Like in Dice Throne, you get to do, more character development or hero development with the cards that you upgrade their abilities. But I like successive dice rolling gameplay, just like with Yahtzee and stuff. So if you like that kind of stuff, if you're not bothered by chance, then this is definitely something that you could enjoy if you have never played King of Tokyo, which is totally valid if you haven't. And then I think ratings. So I need to redo my notes. Now that you guys have talked to me a little bit, I have just, I'm very much sometimes, and maybe this is the writer in me, I'm like a hectic note taker. I'm not good at it. I don't like doing it. And I'm frequently rewriting notes into a cleaner format. So I need to do that and redo this. But ratings, which I guess probably needs to be a section of its own. So, spelling bee dab for you. Ratings. I would probably rate King of Tokyo a solid 7 out of 10. And I would probably specifically have rated it originally like a 6.5 out of 10. But I think this dark version solidly puts it into a 7 out of 10 for me. Which a lot of people have different, views on ratings. I think a 7 out of 10 is a good game. I'm the kind of person now who, since having gotten into content creation or since having gotten into reviews, I try not to search for any games that I personally think would be less than a 7 for me. It's not worth my time, specifically because there are so many games out there. There's so many games constantly coming out. And there's so many games that interest me. So essentially lowering the standard of what I would want to play or even experience or spend my time on, if for reviews or otherwise, I really try to aim 7. And honestly, like 7.5 out of 10 up. Because, there is a solid chunk of games coming out now that for me would land between 7.5 and 8.5. And if you're above 8.5, it's special, and I'm very happy about it. I'm very happy to get an 8.5 to a 9, 9.5, 10. When I get a game like that, and when I have that experience, that makes me very happy. But I think this would be a solid 7 out of 10 for me. And I don't think it's going anywhere anytime soon. So, thumbnail. I don't think I need to do a timestamp for a thumbnail. But maybe I kind of like iterative jokes and meta stuff, so it would honestly be amusing to have a gesture symbol for timestamps for the thumbnail that I'm going to use for the video. That's just a layer of absurdity that I kind of actually like. So yeah, I'm gonna dab up the thumbnail part too. So, and now I need a thumbnail. Oh, someone on a previous feedback. I had conflicting feedback. One of them was they didn't like this sun painting behind me because they found it immensely distracting, which I don't blame you. It's just currently the least visually invasive place that I can quickly set up a tripod and my phone in my house. But then another person, when I was talking about Forbidden Stars, they liked it specifically because it was like the Holy Emperor of the Ultramarines. So I think I'm going to go with that Holy Emperor. I think the thumbnail is going to be like, oh. I think that's it. I mean, I think we got it. So let's see. I mean, let's review, guys. Let's review. I think eventually I'm going to get better about looking at that camera rather than at the screen that shows me. It was easier with, like a camera and a lens to just look at the lens. But this is reversed back at me. And I don't know if you guys have it. I have the iPhone 12. And it's actually very difficult at a distance in weird light to even see the camera that I'm supposed to be looking at. But I'm going to review. So let's see. Oh, the one question I haven't asked is thumbnails. So like the thumbnail, the photo I just did, I have, the series title, games I got, and then I have the name of the game on the other side. And my question is, for you guys as viewers, if I'm thinking of like user design, user interface, do you actually like or dislike the font that I use for that? Because at least for these next two, I'll keep the same font. I originally liked it because it looked like a handwritten font. But now that I think about it, I'm wondering if it's actually somewhat illegible or difficult to read if you're looking at videos like in a feed on your phone. On a computer it's not as bad, but on a phone you're on a condensed screen. So if legibility is actually an issue, please let me know. I'm curious about that. So thumbnail font. Hit me up. Talk to me about that. And let me know about other stuff. Timestamps, my use of hands. Am I Talladega Nightsing it, or is it okay? Is it okay my current use of hands? And then show the box. Did I show the box enough then? And then ratings. I think I did the ratings, so I'm happy to do that. But again, I'm gonna probably choose as I go. I'm not gonna come prior to the video with a knowledge of what my rating is. I think that's a wrap. I'm gonna stop this video and jump into the next one. So should I do those like really cool vlog transitions where you're like shka and then it's like boom, on to the next video? What do you think? Let me know. I'm not going to do it now. I'm just wondering what you think. So